This episode is brought to you by Huel. Huel is a complete meal with nutrients you need to thrive, which is why I love it, because I can just throw this stuff in their cute little shaker and get on my way. I just tried Huel's Black Edition vanilla flavor and it was amazing. I like to mix mine with a banana and a little bit of chocolate. And just when you thought Huel had everything covered, they just dropped a first of its kind Super Greens drink in a can. It's called Huel Daily Greens Ready to Drink. You can try Huel right now with 15% off for new customers today using my code DENVER at Huel.com/Denver. Fuel your best performance with Huel today. That's Huel.com/Denver. And don't forget to use my special code DENVER. This episode is brought to you by Window Nation. It's September, cooler weather's on the way, and if your windows are drafty or leaky, now's the time to act. Replace your older builder-grade windows with custom-built, high-quality windows from Window Nation. And hey, no better time than right now. Through the month of September, buy 2 windows and get 2 free. Hurry, the buy 2 windows, get 2 free sale ends September 30th. Don't miss out. This is Window Nation's most popular deal. Schedule a fast free estimate now with Window Nation at windownation.com. That's windownation.com. Today on CityCast Denver. A new poll is out revealing how Denverites are feeling about homelessness, crime, downtown, and of course, Mayor Mike Johnston. So who's up? Who's down? And what else can we learn about the future of our city? Westward editor Patty Calhoun joins me and producer Paul Caroli to dissect the numbers. Plus, a listener wants an update on the long-promised Dinos and RiNo. Today is Tuesday, September 9th. I'm Bree Davies, and here's what Denver's talking about. Paul, good morning.
Hey, what's up?
Patty is joining us as well. Hi, Patty.
Hey, good to be here.
Good to be. I'm just
now, not in a Waymo.
I know. I was like, we were just talking about Waymo experiences, and that was the hot topic last week for sure.
It was. That's right, Bree.
And speaking of hot topic, I was in Scottsdale with hot Waymos.
Which is where they've been tested in Arizona, apparently. So, well, anyway, we're not talking about Waymos, though. We're talking about a new poll that came out from the Colorado Polling Institute last week, and it was conducted by a bipartisan team from the consulting firms Aspect Strategy and New Bridge Strategy. And they surveyed 417 voters living in Denver for a week in mid-August over the phone and online. And as Westward reported, it's a small sample size of the 700,000 people living here in the city of Denver. Vibe check overall. Paul, how's the city feeling according to this poll?
How's the city feeling? Everyone's kind of feeling their own way. I think optimism is increasing is one takeaway for sure. One of the pollsters with Aspect Strategy, Kevin Ingham, said, what's notable here is that in each of our last 3 surveys, we've seen a small but steady trend toward optimism. Back in 2023, 2 years ago, voters were evenly divided on the direction of the city. But in 2024, voters started to feel a little more positive and now even more positive. So despite some of the setbacks for some of our political figures, like the mayor, I thought that was fascinating. There's this discrepancy happening. When you drill down to specific issues, people are like, homelessness seems to be getting better. Downtown seems to be getting better. Safety seems to be getting better. The mayor, who's working hard on all these things and has all these big ideas that is changing what people see and feel downtown, we're a little unsure about him.
Patty, what did you think?
I thought it was a fascinating poll just because it was his disapproval rating that went up.
Yes,
his
that's
approval ratings seemed pretty much the same. So what it was, the undecideds are no longer so undecided, and they're going up on that. And I was listening to your last CityCast, and what was interesting to me when Flora was speaking is I think there's a lot of discontent in neighborhoods. So people, okay, downtown, homelessness gone, maybe it'll come back. But it's empty promises. People feel it's unfinished and empty promises. I mean, when you hear about the Broadway, what the Broadway bike lanes did, and HQ losing what? She said $200,000 in a month.
That was crazy. Blew my mind, that statistic.
But that stat, you're hearing things that are similar in Colfax now. So what you have are pockets of real concern all along through the city. So the big picture, they might be optimistic about. It's the little pictures that make their daily lives less pleasant that I think people are beginning to focus on. And that's where I think that unpopular post is coming from.
I wonder about that. So the numbers, I think, were the people who think that he is doing a good job. The favorable rating has gone down but from 48 to 46, so negligible. That's within the margin of error. But the disfavorable, people who find him to be, they are not loving what the mayor's doing, has gone up from 36 to 48.
Wow.
I think was the number.
Right. And that's big. And I think
No,
it's
38 to 46. Sorry.
the people who bought on with his vision like the big picture. It's the people who don't like the little picture right now. Think there's not enough focus on daily needs.
Well, I don't know. What do you think, Bream?
Well, I'm thinking back to this conversation you're just referencing, Patty, that we had with Flor Alvidra's
City Councilwoman,
District 7. And she was saying like how homelessness was being handled district by district didn't feel even. And maybe that's a little bit to what you're pointing to, is these individual issues that neighborhoods might be having. I mean, I definitely, when I was talking to Flora, I felt that like there's a lot of focus on downtown.
Right. And crime on South Federal. She described that one crime.
Yeah, it felt kind of left. I can see where other neighborhoods feel left out of the conversation because we're nowhere near downtown. We're not getting that attention. And we're having issues just like any other neighborhood is. And so, yeah, maybe that's where some of that discontent is coming from, is overall big picture things are getting, quote, better. But when you drill down to the street level, it's not really what's happening.
Well, there was if you go down deeper into the data, you can see like breakdowns of who said they thought he was, who had these unfavorable views of the mayor. And apparently the top reasons, and this was in the Denver Post, were overspending or poor planning, 25%, handling homelessness poorly, 20%, and taxpayer money going to homelessness or immigration, 20%.
But of course, we don't know what the other reasons were. Like they didn't have, I can't find parking on my street.
Yeah. Or I lost my job.
I lost my job. Someone just broke into 7-Eleven or shoplifted. So you don't know exactly what it was. But I think sometimes they think because of the bigger picture, the focus on it, we're just missing these smaller things. And that really was an interesting interview from that standpoint. And I see it a lot in comments. You also see the crazy people. You'll get the anti-immigrant, the anti-homeless actions. You hear those voices. They're the loudest.
Very loudly, yes.
They're the loudest. They're not the biggest contingent. I think the people who are coming up with this disapproval, I also feel like they're allowed now that the crisis is over, that he's handled the migrants, that homelessness is much better than it was, or at least the vision of it in most parts of the city. They now feel they can complain about him about other things.
Yeah, well, now we got to pay the bills for all those things.
Well, there's
the problem is like we got this budget deficit.
That's what. So this
was crazy.
This happened before. This poll happened before the layoffs were announced,
Smack dab in the middle.
But they knew the layoffs were coming.
They did. Okay.
They knew how
many. I just wonder if that would be different a week later.
I mean, I got a text from Lisa Calderon. She knew we were going to talk about this on the podcast. She ran against the mayor, endorsed him, and now is one of his biggest critics. If people have heard her on the show, she was like, I got a call to be in this poll the day that I heard about the layoffs.
Oh, boy.
So I'm thinking,
that's good.
If she's not the only person that happened to, if I was hearing about that, I'd have an unfavorable view of the guy laying people off too.
Yeah.
Her other point that I think is worthwhile is that she pointed out that the demographics of the poll they over-indexed on white people and college-educated people relative to the average Denverite. So, I mean, that also is how voters would skew, but I think that's meaningful too. We're not talking about Denverites. We're talking about relatively whiter, relatively more educated Denverites.
And relatively younger too. I think they were talking about some of
too.
it. And that 417 is not a poll you can really bank on.
And
I think
that's
it's
what I always
indicative,
think about
but it
these
seems
things
small.
is it's a very small of the 700,000 of us that live
I had
here.
to look at 600 comments about, immigration on one post yesterday. So you hear from plenty of people.
This episode is brought to you by the Children's Hospital Colorado Foundation. Children's Hospital Colorado is there for families for everything from healing broken bones to treating pediatric cancer. And did you know it's also a nonprofit? Ranked a top 10 children's hospital in the country and the #1 children's hospital in the region, Children's Colorado depends on community support to serve over 296,000 kids every year. At the Children's Gala on September 27th, make life-saving care possible for more kids while experiencing an elegant night of fun and inspiration. Enjoy a cocktail reception, multi-course dinner, an inspiring program, and live music to dance the night away. Or purchase an after-party only ticket to enjoy the live music and late-night bites. Attend the Children's Gala and give families the gift of hope. Get your tickets today at givechildrensco.org/children's gala. That's givechildrensco.org/children's gala. Brought to you by The Drop 104.7. The Drop 104.7 is Denver's home for urban alternative, where hip-hop, R&B, and conscious beats collide. They play everything from the classics to the freshest beats, while highlighting the emerging artists who are pushing culture forward. Catch live performances, artist interviews, and conversations that matter on The Drop. The station is also a hub for music discovery, healing, and community engagement, aimed at inspiring the next generation of creatives and innovators. Plus, The Drop goes beyond just musical offerings. It serves as a vibrant connector for the community, promoting local involvement and celebrating the rich tapestry of culture and arts in the region. I did wander upon the Denver DJ School block party recently, where La Molly was, who's one of the awesome DJs at The Drop, and she was interviewing DJ Maceo from De La Soul. So I randomly got to see DJ Maceo from De La Soul in person, sweetheart, and also master DJ. It was so cute. Tune in to 104.7 FM in Denver or stream online at thedrop303.org. That's thedrop303.org and discover your next favorite track. Well, what other issues in here that struck you, or that, I don't know, what was interesting to you, Paul, beyond these big themes of homelessness or, I don't know, affordability? Where did they even talk about things like bike lanes or infrastructure? Sure,
we can talk about bike lanes. I mean, I think the Colfax BRT poll question was interesting. So that one found that 39% of people were optimistic about the project, 38% of people were pessimistic. I mean, that one's going to be interesting when they poll again in a year. Yeah. After this project will have been going for 18, 24 months by that point. So now it looks like people are evenly split. But the more we hear about businesses closing, I expect that to get worse before it gets better.
Oh, absolutely. It just is so grim out there.
Yeah, it seems rough. I thought that was interesting though, and because one of the categories was folks don't know enough about it, and so I think that's part of it too. Is we're so used to construction projects here, and they suck in the moment, that I think it is going to be the bigger things, like you said, like businesses closing, that are going to affect how people feel about a transit project more than the transit project itself.
Or the first time they drive down there, because I think a lot of people still don't understand what it is, and they're just avoiding it like the plague, because the people who go there are the ones who want to support those businesses or just can't imagine dealing with other businesses, finding replacements. But you go down and you suddenly realize people are going to look and they say, we did this for a faster bus and no parking and less room for cars. I mean, I think there could be some blowback, because I will say, you've heard it on Broadway. People do not love how Broadway turned out.
It's funny to me, though, because I still go to a lot of places on Broadway and I never have trouble parking. So the bike lane thing didn't change anything to me personally, but.
Well, except it got rid of some businesses that weuld have,
we'd love
to have had stay.
But I mean, definitely business was hit, but Mutiny also said our rent went up, so it's a combination of factors.
Another category I thought was interesting was just business friendliness. This is something we've been talking about a lot as more business owners complain about, say the rising minimum wage here in Denver. The question here, from what you may have seen, read, or heard, would you say that Denver city government generally is more welcoming, 18%, more challenging and stands in the way of businesses, 27%, more mixed, 23%?
This is interesting when it comes to the amount of people polled, because I would be curious how many of those folks have had this direct experience with opening a business. Because when we hear from business owners directly, we get the firsthand experience. But in a poll situation, I don't know, it's a little different to me.
And I would have to look at that question, but the minimum wage issue is so different from the city's disastrous permitting processes and the challenges businesses face that way, that they really have to be separated. Because when you think about it, just the same way I think most people may not have loved how the migrant issue was handled, I think Denver is still a welcoming city. We want to take care of people. And I think on the minimum wage issue, in the big picture, they are for higher minimum wage. They are not for incompetence or a bad permitting program. So you've got to figure out, when you're talking about businesses, what are the issues?
What factors?
Well, I think people want it all. I think people want both. I mean, that's the values that you ask someone on the street, they're like, yeah, I love a local small business and I want everyone to be paid a ton.
Right. That you
know?
want, but you don't want the local business to take 15 months to get permitted, which is what I think I heard one bar on Old South Gaylord that moved into a liquor store. So it's not like it was a challenging location. It took them 15 months to get their permit.
But that is the tricky one, though. Like if you're moving into a space and you have to change the use, that's what stretches out those times. I mean, not that we have to get into a lot of detail, but I think the business friendliness thing is like these things add up. When you're wanting to start a business somewhere, you don't think necessarily about like one individual policy. And although the minimum wage thing definitely sticks out for sure, but you think about it in aggregate and you think about the vibe. Like, does Denver seem like a place where in the next few years I'm going to get the support that I want? Like you hear from people downtown. I was just talking to someone who got a big DDA grant from the city, massive support, more than 50% of his project, which was interesting because previously I'd heard they were only doing 20% of these projects, but this guy got more than 50% of his project covered.
What project?
This is the Green Spaces project.
Oh, okay.
He told me he got $2.7 million on a $4.3 million project. He's feeling like the city is super friendly. He's feeling like, how could I not make this bet on this place? The city will not let me fail if they're setting up all this support for downtown right now.
Well, more power to them. I hope it works.
I was like, perfect example of where someone on Colfax might think, what about us then?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you can get that deal downtown, but we don't get any attention over here, or we're fighting for these really small
15,000 at the most.
These small business grants or whatever, so much smaller compared to a couple $1 million.
Yeah, well, and it just connects it back to the politics because, like, I think people look at city council right now. I think people in the business community are thinking that the city council has taken a progressive turn since the last election, and that there are some people who are maybe not first listening to the concerns of business and are first instead listening to the people who are wanting a higher wage.
Well, maybe we'll see when city council has to vote on these DDA grants and loans. That's soon, right?
I don't know.
Well, they have to approve anything over 500,000, and I think only one is under 500,000, and that's the Denver Immersive loan.
Oh, they have to.
They're all
have
over
to approve
500,000,
all of
so they're
those
going to have to
loans
approve that
individually.
So we'll see who's friendly to what.
That immersive one, have you talked to those people? Those
Yes.
guys, oh boy, that was exciting to me. When I got the full breakdown of that project, they're launching with this Midsummer Night's Dream thing. I talked about it on the podcast a few weeks ago. We don't have to go into that again. But that one sounded great.
Let's talk about housing.
I have feelings about that one.
Do you
Tell
want to
me
talk
about
about
it.
it? Go ahead, Patty.
I went to the Denver Creates launch, if you went to that.
Yes.
And all these local Colorado creatives, Denver creatives, who've been waiting for so long for grants and things like that and the opportunity to have the audience, they were the ones who stood up on stage. There were only two groups. One was Denver Immersives. They hadn't even been here a year. And it was just kind of a why them as opposed to the people who've been waiting for months and years. I mean, I wish everyone great luck on this, but why them?
Yeah. You've made this point before because they're new to the
I'm
city.
redundant.
They moved from New York to
Right.
Denver during the pandemic. The gentleman behind the Denver Immersive Repertory Theater.
That sounds very Denver to me.
It is very
We do
Denver.
love to look at the shiny object from somewhere else and not at ourselves.
And the person sitting next to me, who almost fell off her chair when they went up there.
Well, that's the thing about these guys, though. You come from New York, you got Broadway connections, you got access to funders, you can multiply your money. I mean, that's just an advantage that they had. I mean, they don't have the support that someone from Denver would have put any other project like this, but it's a big factor. If you can say, I've got all these people ready to step up and back this dream, that matters.
Okay, Mr. Immersive, we'll see you there on opening night.
You will see me there
Okay.
opening night. I can't wait.
Let's talk about housing and affordability. I feel like there was a story last week that our supply has gone up and now builders are concerned that there's going to be an oversupply. But I wonder how this shook out in the poll. What did the numbers say in terms of like how folks feel about new housing?
New housing?
Yeah.
I think you're talking about multifamily apartment buildings.
Yes.
Right? And with the data I have, the questions I have here are more on like the general YIMBY-NIMBY question.
Okay,
like
let's talk
development
about that.
general. So one of the questions here was, which of the following options should be a higher priority for the city of Denver's policies when it comes to new housing and development? 59% of people said, and I love these questions, 59% of people said listening to the concerns of residents in a neighborhood where new housing is being proposed, even if that means new housing sometimes doesn't get built. 59% say that.
That speaks to my argument about people looking at the little picture, the
Yes.
not in my backyard group, and
For sure.
maybe that's what they're upset about.
Yeah, 41% said the opposite, that they want more housing no matter what.
I also think about listening to the concerns of residents in a neighborhood. What percentage of those residents are speaking up? There's generally a very loud minority, but you can't get that from a poll question. So who those people are.
The other side of this, which honestly just shows how everybody just wants it all, is some people have indicated that in planning for development, the city may have to make some trade-offs between different elements of development. Which one of the following is the most important to you? 58% say ensuring affordability, 32% say maintaining the look and feel of neighborhoods. 10% say reducing growth.
Reducing growth?
Yeah.
How do you even do? Okay. I don't understand that.
Knock down buildings, raise taxes. Maybe you say no.
Bring back the parking lots. Is that what they want?
Maybe you say no to, say, a developer that wants to build housing and retail on a giant empty open space in Park Hill.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Hypothetically, that might be
or
a
downtown parking
reducing
lot.
growth, or a downtown parking lot.
So, I mean, that it is a really kind of a pull up the drawbridge. The people who say, oh, I loved Denver 20 years ago. I loved Denver 30 years ago. I even loved it 10 years ago. But the apartment issue right now, we're doing a deeper dive into it because the numbers are so funny.
I completely agree.
As I got out of my car, they were saying, oh, the number of vacant apartments are going up. And you're like, okay, will rent go down a little bit? Will there be more affordability?
Will that thing
Or
happen
are
that everybody
these
promises happens when there's
apartments
enough
that
supply?
misread the market and they're going to be too expensive and they're not going to be family friendly? We'll find out.
Yeah, we're working on something on that too. I think that those are great questions right now.
Anything else from the poll you guys want to discuss before we move on?
Bike lanes.
Bike lanes. Okay.
Bike lanes. Denverites say, are there too many or too few? Simple question. One of my favorite questions. Too many or too few?
What a weird binary.
Right. How about useful ones?
Yeah. Where are they? Who? Yeah. Okay.
No, come on. This is what we want. We want the good stuff. Too much, 28%. Too little, 36%. That's the biggest block. Right amount, 35%. I would say that is a pretty even split among Denverites, and that is where the disagreement happens. No one can agree.
Yeah. Again, to me, it's all about a rollout of these bike lanes conversations, whether or not people feel that they've been included in those conversations or not, or who has the most pull when it comes to where a bike lane goes. I mean, I think about, what was the one on the north side we've talked about a million times.
29th, West 29th.
Oh,
Where it
West
was like
29th.
Pretty sure.
one lady or one business can change those things. It's so, yeah.
The one that's gone in on Yale and now the Alameda, which is definitely, it's hard to tell, but squeaky wheels in that neighborhood.
Oh, the road diet that the neighbors are pushing
Yeah.
back on. I wonder what's going to happen there. If the Donnie's going to stick to their guns and make it happen, or
I don't know, but flying
Give in.
cars have to come soon, I think.
oh, we need it. I mean, we need autonomous flying cars, and they'll be great in the snow.
I've said it before that there's a section right before this section of Alameda that is already designed like this, and it's fine. I drive it it goes from the Cherry Creek Mall basically to all the way to my house. It's fine. But that's another conversation for another day. I'm just over here wishing we could get a road diet on my side of Alameda, but that's not part of this poll. So, well, interesting stuff.
What I can't tell from that is, if I were the mayor, would I be really more worried about vibrant bond
I was
or
wondering
less?
that too.
That's going to be,
How does this
how
play
do
for
those
voters?
5 different parts parse out?
Well, they did poll on that. They did poll on the bond specifically, and they had to couch it by saying, first we had to explain to people what the bond is.
Sure. And the 5 parts.
And
Sure.
the
Did they?
5
But they
part.
didn't. Yeah.
But it looked like it was going to cruise. It was 65% say, sure, go ahead. Do it.
Interesting.
Yes. Bond me, baby.
Huh. After the affordable, well, a tax is different. The affordable
I
housing
think
tax
the
didn't
affordable
pass.
part will go. That'll pass, but we'll
I
we'll
think
see.
it's all going to go.
Oh,
Come
I don't
on.
think so.
Oh my God.
I think so.
I'm
I think
saying
one
it
or
right
two are going to
here.
be no.
Are you want to make a bet? Friendly wager?
I have to study first. I'll wager tomorrow.
Okay, we'll talk later. Can we actually follow up on that? I wanted to do
Yes.
that because the mayor numbers reminded me that I made a prediction. We did a show about predictions earlier this year, and I want to gloat a little bit. I predicted that Mayor Johnston's favorability ratings would be down, and I think today we can say that that has happened with the unfavorabilities up
Right, with the
and the
unfavorability
favorability
up,
down
yes.
2%. So I'm checking that for myself. I also predicted dirty sodas would be a bigger trend. Dirty sodas would hit.
I'm so happy that wasn't a bet with me.
Are they? Did they?
Well, I think this is like a partial yes, because Bird Call just introduced a line of dirty sodas. That's a local chain. I did say we might see a Swig open here. That was the Utah-based dirty soda chain.
Will you remind me what a dirty soda is?
It's like when you have a Dr. Pepper and then you put some coffee creamer in it and like some lime
so like
juice.
middle school behavior at a. Okay.
I think it's like Mormon moms. They'll
I
go
have
through,
heard it's big
they'll get
and
a big
solids.
gulp, and it's really sugar.
Because I know, because if you don't really have any other vices, sugar's where it's at, baby. As a person in recovery, I get that. Okay, so you said those were going to be a rise, and it's still the jury's still out, Paul.
But I think Bird Call introducing it, I'm going to say
I want to hear from listeners about this if they think that you're right
about dirty sodas,
like if it has gone up in popular or
okay.
if it's
We'll talk about it. Well, I'd like to hear from them too. The other one I want to hear from listeners is Tattered Cover. Tattered Cover, I predicted Denverites would embrace, and it was very hard. I didn't know how to quantify this, but I was at Tattered Cover on Colfax 2 weeks ago. Despite all the traffic on Colfax, my wife and I went to Sapsua. Great dinner, great place. Maybe on target for a Bib Gourmand or something next week. That place was slammed.
Was it?
The stock is back.
Okay.
People are back. The Tattered Cover under Barnes & Noble, as I predicted, it's doing better than ever. It's thriving. I think Denverites are loving this place, and I want to know what listeners think.
I would not say better than ever, but better than we thought it would. It's definitely worth, they are taking into account good author programs, the stock, you've got parking, they have done work on it. So it's definitely better than it was. Mm-hmm. And it's never going to be what it was under Joyce during the halcyon days of the 80s, 90s.
Sure.
Pre-internet.
And when that whole group first opened with the original Twist and Shout and the Sea. It was such a great cultural complex, and it still is. But I agree. I went to the Barnes & Noble on South Colorado Boulevard, and I was impressed by it.
I was impressed too because I got great service there as well.
They were so nice. They were doing a little program of Colorado authors. They were great.
Yeah.
The last one I have to claim victory on is parking minimums. I predicted it would pass, and it passed easily.
Yeah.
Easily.
Parking what?
Parking minimums.
Oh,
City
parking
council
minimums.
vote on parking minimums for new developments.
Right.
Yeah. Easy pass.
Easy pass in this era. I feel like this was a long time, a lot of work coming to get there. But yeah.
Hey, and we want to hear what you think too. Was this the year you tried a dirty soda? Do you think Barnes & Noble helped Tattered Cover bounce back? And how are you feeling about crime, safety, and Mayor Mike these days? The We're Doing Our Own Dang poll hotline is open at 720-500-5418. Again, you can leave us a voicemail or send us a text at 720-500-5418. This episode is brought to you by Wise. Wise is the app for international people using money around the globe. With Wise, you can send, spend, and receive up to 40 currencies with only a few simple taps and save up to 55% compared to major banks. Plus, Wise won't add hidden fees to your transfer. Whether you're buying souvenirs with pesos in Puerto Vallarta or sending euros to tip your Coliseum tour guide, you know you're getting a fair exchange rate with no extra markups. That's what makes Wise the fast, affordable way to use your money around the globe. Wise offers 24/7 live support and runs over 7 million daily checks to catch and prevent fraud, so you know your money is where it's supposed to be. Be smart. Join the 15 million customers who choose Wise. Download the Wise app today or visit wise.com. Learn more by visiting wise.com/US/compare. T's and C's apply. This episode is brought to you by Cozy Earth. When it comes to bedtime, our 4-year-old is constantly trying to get in bed and sleep between me and my husband. And while we try not to relent, because if you know anything, kids have to sleep in their own beds if you want to have a sane and happy life, trust me. But sometimes we give in. So, how do you keep a kind of tiny queen-size bed comfortable with 2 adults and 1 wiggly kid in it? 2 words: Cozy Earth. These sheets are like sleep magic. The moment we hit those super soft pillowcases, it's lights out, baby. You can try Cozy Earth sheets risk-free right now with their 100-night sleep trial. Try them out. If you don't love them, you can return them, hassle-free. They also offer a 10-year warranty, but trust me, once you feel this level of comfort, you'll want it to last a decade. Head to CozyEarth.com and use code CozyDenver for 40% off. That's code CozyDenver, and you get 40% off. And if you get a post-purchase survey, please make sure to let them know you heard about Cozy Earth right here on CityCast Denver. Because your bed should be more than a place to sleep. It should be your happy place. Cozy Earth makes that possible. We're back. It's Tuesday, so this is always when we share a comment or answer a question from one of you, our lovely listeners. What have we got on the hotline this week, Paul?
We got a voicemail to start us off.
Hi, my name's Ari, and I live in RiNo, and I live very close to Zeppelin Station. And I was curious as to whether CityCast knew what is going on with Zeppelin Station. The dinosaurs never showed up. The coffee place is closed. It's kind of a ghost town, even though there is a business or two still in there, and now they have a security guard. I don't really get it. Do you guys know? Thanks.
This feels like such a perfect question for you, Patty. Do you know anything?
Yeah, I mean, it went into receivership for a while. So the ownership is up, and Kyle Zeppelin has talked about it. Well, it should never have been taken from us. We should take it back. But the Handsome Boys group that was going to do Clever Girl, that group kind of split up. So that's why Josh pulled out of the dinosaurs. It is definitely a development in flux that faces a lot of challenges, because I think its big tenant is also looking at a different place
What
to be.
What is their big tenant?
Altera, the ski company. You know where they're looking? Downtown.
Yeah.
How interesting is that?
That is
How
interesting.
Little
Ka-ching.
movement from RiNo.
Yeah.
Exactly.
From RiNo.
They probably know people. But yeah, Josh Schmitz of it's currently called Ruckus Hospitality.
Well,
no
they
longer
split.
Handsome Boys.
Yeah, they're not the Handsome Boys. The Handsome Boys split up, and
The
Josh
Handsome
is Ruckus.
Boys broke up?
The Handsome Boys
Don't
broke
worry,
up.
baby. Ruckus Hospitality is here.
So he is still doing a lot of the Larimer Square stuff. The
Yeah,
other
that makes
boys are doing a lot of the Market Street stuff.
Oh, interesting.
Is this an interesting shift to you or what, Patty? Watching RiNo move back to, just thinking about that.
It is an interesting shift, but part of it is you remember, just like I do. Did you go to Glob's anniversary?
I didn't. I was too sick, but
So when you think about what we
It's a
loved
DIY space on
about
Brighton.
DIY,
a 20-year-old
DIY space in an area that used to be all DIY and all the kind of pioneering. And now you have people feeling like they're pioneering when they go back downtown. Because in RiNo, it's become, I don't want to say corporate monolith, but that's what it looks like. You just go, and where is the there?
Yeah. It just is such an interesting shift thinking back again 20 years ago to the desolate feeling of Brighton Boulevard, and then everything was downtown, and then downtown wasn't cool, and so everything went to RiNo, and now it's just this between those two. I've just noticed.
And
the bounce.
Zeppelin Station has the challenge of being a little bit off the beaten path.
They really are.
You
It's
don't
not
have
super
peddling groups of
accessible.
bachelorette parties on those little bar cars.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's a tough location. In retrospect, that one was just like a little bit too far.
Yeah, I
And-
think they were expecting it to grow, RiNo to grow beyond it.
Yeah,
maybe.
well, you bet on future growth. Sometimes growth doesn't happen. Economy turns. Sometimes there's a global pandemic, and your dreams don't pan out. But yeah, the specific deal here, and there is a couple more details to speak to Ari's voicemail, was so Josh Schmitz told the Denver Post recently that he had an investor back out of the $1.4 million project, and that's why he couldn't make the investments he wanted, i.e. the dinos.
Those are expensive. Animatronic dinosaurs. We looked at them. There's a company that makes them here in Colorado.
How much do they cost?
They're a couple $1,000s a piece.
Oh, I think at
Oh,
least.
that would have been. I mean, let's get some.
Well,
for
let's get some.
friggin'
Yeah. If
Westward
they're
off.
1,000, let's get them.
Yeah. So he had an investor back out when they realized that the property was in receivership was the problem. And then the two tenants that Ari mentioned, and I have been in there, and those tenants, they are in fact very bleak. The whole space is bleak. Josh Schmitz of Ruckus says that he is trying to work with them to get them placed in one of his other, arrangements. I don't know what that looks like. One of these other places he works with, some
Well,
other
it looks
building.
like an empty Zeppelin station. So
It does sound like Zeppelin Station is like, I don't know what's going to happen there. Big empty building.
My
Kyle?
dream is like it just gets bombed out and becomes another place for a glob type event space to pop up and
when
be
you
there
think
for
about
20
it,
years.
all those old warehouses.
That's where it came from, I just want to make a little note. Distortions Unlimited is the Colorado company that makes animatronic dinosaurs, and you can get a Raptor for $6,590.
Oh.
How
if
big?
You wanted one?
Yeah, what are we talking? 6 feet? 7? Like a
see.
full on.
Oh, their dimensions: 9 feet long, 3 feet wide, 7 feet tall, 8 movements.
That's a pretty good size raptor.
It's worth getting.
I'd say so. Yeah.
Their stuff is really cool. Anyway, they make all kinds of stuff for like haunted houses and stuff. So if you're in the market for an animatronic dinosaur, you can get
Maybe
one.
that
Made in
company
Colorado,
should
baby.
just move into Zeppelin Station.
Oh my God, that would be
I
genius.
mean, we
feel
need
like
some actual manufacturing down there. It'd be great.
bring back the industrial nature of RiNo. I love it.
And set up some raptors outside.
I love it. I love it. I mean, I would come in
Just
if there was a
have wandering
raptor
around down
outside.
there.
Well, just
Right, why
sitting
not?
out front. It's like
If we could have Waymos, we could have raptors.
Stick that Waymo technology and some Raptors, some driverless
honestly,
autonomous
if
Raptors.
If you want to compete with Casa Bonita, you just need to have a bunch of animatronic stuff, and I would go there. I would totally go there. Well, Paul, Patty, thanks for joining me.
My pleasure.
See you next time.
That's all for today here on CityCast Denver. If you enjoyed this show, why not take a minute to tell a velociraptor about us? Rate the show wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe to our morning newsletter and learn more about us at denver.citycast.fm. And just remember, you could support this show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Denver neighbor today. Just visit membership.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. See you later.